The monster boar, Walkmaganchi, Aragandi, was then one of the biggest and mightiest creature known among the Garos long ago. Its body was as big as a mountain, and it possessed 7 terrible-looking heads, furcated from one main neck, where each of them have 7 sharp projecting tusks, which looked like 2-edged swords, and also had 1 piercing eye in the center of each forehead, shining as bright and as luminous as a full moon. And on its back grew 7 clumps of tall bamboos, 7 plots of thatched grass, 7 perennial streamlets also flowed from the back, and 7 stalks of bulrush plants. Altogether, these formed a little forest world on the back of the enormous creature, where langur monkeys also dwells with their offsprings, as well as 7 pairs of moles. Now let's see how this monster boar came to the terrestrial surface of the earth. Long before Goera's birth, his maternal uncles, Dina Okpet, Didi Rangpet, and Aquabel Arabelbel, adopted and raised a monstrous boar. This fearsome creature was once a tiny piglet from the 7th underground level of the subterranean realm. They brought the piglet during the Great War between the subterranean dwellers and the surface inhabitants. During the times of conflict, the legendary warrior Ko Renkba Chidual, a hero from the upper regions, captured Chongmichan Chupuchi Rodachi, a formidable fighter from the subterranean forces. And on the same day, a man named Gona Tritpa Rakshanpa was also fishing in a stream called Di Junbrad Di Kinkbima. However, Gona accidentally stepped on the warrior's captive, slowing them down as warrior dragged the captive past Gona when heading to the surface. Then the warrior got panicked and left the prisoner. And when Gona saw the prisoner, he wrapped him in a bunch of herbal leaf called Rekhoksi and planned to offer him as a sacrifice to the divine beings when he was returning home. But on the way, the goddess of fortune named Susime appeared to him and said,
"Set this poor captive free. The subterranean world will be rendered poorer by his death. The birds that are kept confined in the coop of Munepatako will answer your purpose better."
Soon the captive's fellow countrymen from the underworld arrived as they tracked his path. They were known as Encha Rangshin, Gunbosalo, Kachibotum, Ahlik Balman, Pikbodil, Nachibokal, Matram Thakil, Kusim Sawul. They pleaded Galna to return the captive to them, and as they requested Galna, he agreed and handed him over. Then Galna, followed by his dog and by his friends, Dina Okpet, Did Di Rongfet, and Aquabel Arabelbel, went along with the captive's countrymen down to the subterranean region. Galna, while returning, he stole the ancestor of birds, known as Doha Ahning, Ruram Surang and its offspring from the cave of Munepateko, and brought them up with him in huge cages. And it was at this time, Dina Okpet, Diddi Rongpet, and Aquabel Arabelbel found a tiny piglet playing with puddles all alone by himself without its mother. So they brought the piglet along with them and named him Wakma Butchi Warug Wakumbi. The piglet was raised by Goera's maternal uncles, who kept him in a sty of strong rocks and fed him daily. And in the course of time, the tiny piglet had outgrown its sty that Rockman Meha and Chengman Panta had to tear the sty down and set the captive free. And after a few years, when all the maternal uncles of Goera joined the purification ceremony performed upon Misi Shiphimpa and Nodowe Nothaki, the boar had grown so huge and terrible that no one dared recapture it. However, out of pity, people would still come and feed the boar with husks and sundry tidbits from a safe distance. And on one occasion, when Dina Okpet, Diddi Rongpet, and Aquabel Arabelbel were feeding the giant boar with husk, then 3 of them were knocked into an enormous feeding tub by the boar itself and were eaten alive along with its food. From that onwards, no one had ever ventured again to feed him. The wild boar grew larger in time, and it finally reached the size of a mountain when Goera was full 4 summers and full 4 winters old. The monstrous boar moved about wildly, and was claimed by none. And it was at this time he was known as Wakmaganchi Aragandi, when the beast devoured Rokman Meha and Chengman Hante. The news of the tragic end that overtook the maternal uncles of Goera reached their native village, which made people horror-stricken at the terrible news. Meanwhile, Goera was weaned at the age of 4, and later he grew to be a strong and robust boy with best health and strength. There was determination and firmness in his look, and everyone was amazed by his fine facial features, the absolute symmetry of his body, and his bold and confident personality during his teenage. His hair was as black as a raven, and anyone who gazed at the young, sturdy boy was instantly drawn to his remarkable dignity and confident behavior. And in his youth, like many high-spirited youngsters, he prioritized mischief over all else. He was a bundle of energy, passion, and keenness, with a fearless spirit that belittled even the most daunting dangers. The thrill of independence beckoned to him more than anything else. No one, not even his parents or closest relatives, could sway him from his path, for good or for evil. He completely refused to be swayed or overruled in any matter. As a youngster, Goera was a veritable firebrand towards boys and girls of his age. He used to tease and beat them in mere sports. Wherever there was vociferous crying and weeping among children, it was imputable to Goera's presence among them. He would neither play peacefully with his companions nor run races gleefully with them on the sands of the Songdu River. Instead, he would forcibly take away all the pebbles, gila seeds, also known as entada scandan seeds, and tile bamboo tubes that they had collected to play with. He used to wantonly break the small barriers the other kids had built across small streams to catch fish and destroy the sand houses they had carefully constructed, only to find out one day one of them turn out to be a girl named Nubrita Ruwechi, who had always loved him and had a crush on him as they all grew up together in the same village. Yet he never cared and won't stop messing other kids. He would continue to snatch away the bamboo stilts from boys and scare them off. In other words, he was the perfect example of troublemaking and a source of great annoyance to all the boys and girls his age with whom he came into contact. And as a result, he had only few friends who would call him Tampa Okpet Dinakapet, the self-willed, heartless troublemaker. And in later youth, Goera was proficient to excellence in all kinds of games requiring alertness, physical strength, and dexterity. He was extremely passionate about chasing dangerous beasts and killing them with his bare hands, and never missed a chance to pursue, confront, and kill various predators whenever the opportunity arose, and was never happier than to bring home the meat of a wild animal he had bravely attacked. And since Goera didn't care about his own safety in dangerous situations, everyone kept all the informations about the monstrous boar hidden from him, nor talk about it. But as fate awaits, he heard about the monstrous boar for the first time the day he approached the group of village boys and asked if he could join in to play a game of entada scandan seeds, only to get rejected by them since he never lose at any game, and said that he would only ruin their fun. And for such rude response, he was extremely furious. That made him snatched all their seeds and threw them as far as deep into the jungle. Then they all ran home knowing they are no match with him, and none dared to challenge, since he was extremely strong. However, some of the braver boys stayed and dared to speak up to him, saying,
"You shamelessly show off your strength against those who can't defend themselves. If you're truly brave and want to be seen as a man, why don't you dare fight Wakmaganchi Aragandi? He's already eaten some of your own uncles, you stupid boy."
These words left Goera shocked. His interest in the giant boar, whose existence he had never known before, was fully sparked. He wished to test his great strength against it in combat, and to learn more about the fierce creature he had just heard of, he rushed home to his grandmother to gather all the details she could provide about the monstrous boar. Now coming to Goera's grandmother, she was one of the wife of a demigod Misi Arakpa Saljhong Gingmhatpa, also known as Misi Saljhong. She was full 7 times 7 score summers old. Her name was Sumadilme Shaksho Mabutchi Dorodokandi Okuduma Bolkarhuma, but she was generally nicknamed as Noongi, Noongap, Ilingi, Ilingap. She wore 7 large and thick cotton blankets as her long petticoats, but they barely reached down to her knee. In other words, She was a giantess and was one of the early demi-goddess born from a divine and immortal parents. And when Goera approached his aged grandmother and questioned her all about Wakmagan Ara Gandhi, she immediately cursed whoever told her grandson about the monster boar, thinking it was unwise to share such information with a stubborn youth like Goera. And out of care, she refused to tell him anything about the ferocious beast. But Goera, as expected, continuously insisted her to share everything she knew about the boar. Yet, his grandmother refused and wouldn't listen. Now frustrated by her persistence, Goera went out to Somdu River, now known as Brahmaputra River, to get a giant horrifying crab called Somduni Onkorong Sagalni Damohong. And upon returning home, Goera threatened his grandmother, saying to let the giant crab pinch her private parts mercilessly if she continued to deny his request. So, finally, with the greatest reluctance, the aged grandmother yielded and told her fearless grandson all she knew about the monster boar. If you want to continue the story, always like and share our videos. And don't forget to subscribe our channel and press the bell icon if you haven't. Until then, we'll see you in the next video.